Welcome to Starbound, where every star tells a story. Today, a captain of an outdated ship and technology must unravel the weakness behind a relentless conquering alien species bent on galactic domination. Let's get into the story. The Orank Armada hung in the void like a ravenous beast, its gleaming warships bristling with energy cannons and pulse disruptors. They had swept through the galaxy, their warriors clad in impenetrable armor, crushing all resistance. Worlds burned, civilizations crumbled, and fear reigned supreme. In a desperate gamble, the Galactic Council turned to humanity, not for their fleets, for they were dwarfed by the Orank might, but for their tenacity, their ingenuity, and their reputation as the underdogs who always found a way. Captain Nelson of the U.S. Endeavor received the call with a sense of relief. They were being led out of the cage. He was a veteran of countless battles, his face etched with the scars of war. He assembled his crew, a motley mix of humans from every corner of Earth, each with a unique skill set and unwavering loyalty. The Endeavor, a seasoned battleship, may not have been the newest or the fastest, but it was a symbol of human resilience. Its arsenal, though seemingly outdated, was meticulously maintained and ready for action. Among the weaponry were racks of projectile-based missiles, relics of a bygone era. As the Endeavor approached the Orank front line, tension crackled through the ship. The first volley of energy blasts from the Orank ships washed over them, their shields flaring but holding strong. In return, the Endeavor unleashed its own barrage, but to no avail. The Orank armor absorbed the energy like a sponge, leaving their warriors unscathed. "Damn it!" Nelson spat, slamming his fist on the console. "Their armor is impenetrable." The comms officer, a young woman named Anya, chimed in. "Captain, we're detecting strange energy signatures from their armor. It's like it's absorbing our energy and redirecting it." Nelson's mind raced. They couldn't win a war of attrition. They needed a different approach, something unexpected. His gaze fell upon the racks of projectile missiles, a forgotten weapon in an age of energy warfare. "Anya," he said, "prep a volley of those missiles. Let's see what happens." Anya's eyes widened. "Captain, those are ancient tech. They're not going to do anything against that armor." Nelson's lips curled into a wry smile. "Sometimes. The old ways are the best ways. Let's give it a shot." The missiles streaked through the void, their solid projectiles slamming into the Orank ships. To everyone's astonishment, the armor that had shrugged off energy blasts crumbled under the impact. The projectiles pierced through, causing explosions that ripped through the enemy ships. Nelson leaned forward, his eyes gleaming. "We've found their weakness. They're vulnerable to kinetic impact." The Endeavor pressed the attack, unleashing a torrent of projectile missiles. The Oranks, caught off guard, struggled to adapt. Their superior firepower was useless against an enemy that could pierce their armor. The tide of the battle turned. Human ships, armed with their primitive weapons, inflicted heavy losses on the Orank Armada. The galaxy watched in awe as the underdogs fought back, their determination and ingenuity shining through. But the Oranks were not easily defeated. Their commanders, realizing the danger of the projectile weapons, adjusted their tactics. They began to swarm the human ships, their sheer numbers overwhelming the human defenses. The close-quarters combat negated the advantage of the missiles, and the Oranks, with their superior strength and agility, tore through the human ranks. Captain Nelson, leading the charge from the bridge of the Endeavor, saw his comrades fall around him. The deck was slick with blood, the air thick with the smell of burnt flesh and ozone. He felt a pang of despair, the weight of the galaxy's fate pressing down on his shoulders. "We can't hold them off much longer," Lieutenant Chen, the tactical officer, reported in a strained voice. "Their numbers are too great." Nelson gritted his teeth. They needed a miracle, a game-changer. He scanned the tactical display, his eyes darting from one blip to another. Suddenly, a flicker of inspiration ignited in his mind. "Chen," he barked, "target their command ships. Focus all our fire on them." Chen hesitated. "But sir, they're heavily shielded. Our missiles won't penetrate." Nelson's voice was steely. "Not the missiles, the railguns. We're going to use them as a distraction." The railguns, another relic of human weaponry, were designed to launch massive projectiles at hypersonic speeds. They lacked the explosive power of missiles, but their kinetic energy was immense. The Endeavor and the remaining human ships opened fire with their railguns, their massive projectiles slamming into the Orient command ships. The shields flared, absorbing the impact, but the sheer force of the attack caused them to overload and flicker. In that fleeting moment of vulnerability, Nelson gave the order. "Missiles away! Target their engines!" The projectile missiles streaked through the void, their guidance systems honed in on the exposed engine cores of the Orient command ships. The explosions that followed were catastrophic. One by one, the command ships were crippled, their reactors going critical and ripping them apart from the inside. The loss of their leaders sent the Orient forces into disarray. Without orders, their cohesion crumbled, and their attacks lost their ferocity. The human ships, seizing the opportunity, pressed their advantage, their projectile weapons tearing through the Orient ranks. The tide of the battle had turned once again, this time decisively. The Oranks, demoralized and leaderless, retreated in disarray, their once mighty armada reduced to a fleeing rabble. Captain Nelson stood on the bridge of the Endeavor, his gaze fixed on the retreating Orient fleet. The deck beneath his feet still bore the scars of battle, but the atmosphere was one of jubilant relief. The comms officer, Anya, relayed messages of congratulations from across the human fleet, their voices filled with gratitude and admiration. The victory had come at a great cost. Many brave souls had perished, their sacrifice forever etched in the annals of human history. But their courage and ingenuity had saved the galaxy from the Orient tyranny. Nelson turned to his crew, his voice raspy but firm. "We did it," he said. "We faced an enemy that seemed unstoppable, and we found a way to win. We proved that humanity, even when outnumbered and outgunned, can never be underestimated." The crew erupted in cheers, their faces alight with pride. They had faced the darkness and emerged victorious, their spirit unbroken. The Endeavor, battered but unbowed, stood as a testament to human resilience, a beacon of hope in a galaxy scarred by war. In the aftermath of the battle, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. The human delegation, led by Captain Nelson, was greeted with a standing ovation. The counselors, who had once dismissed humanity as a minor player, now recognized their crucial role in the galaxy's defense. The Oranks, their reputation tarnished and their forces crippled, retreated to their homeworld, licking their wounds. They had underestimated humanity, their arrogance blinding them to the tenacity and resourcefulness of their opponents. The galaxy celebrated. Worlds that had once cowered in fear now rejoiced, their faith in humanity renewed. The story of the projectile weapons that had pierced the Orank armor became a legend, a symbol of hope and defiance. Captain Nelson and his crew returned to Earth as heroes, their names etched in the hearts of their people. They had faced the impossible and emerged triumphant, their victory a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity. The Endeavor, scarred but proud, took its place in the history books, a reminder that even the smallest of Davids could slay the mightiest of Goliaths. But the war was not over. The Oranks, though defeated, were not destroyed. They would return stronger and more determined than ever. Humanity knew this, and they prepared for the next battle. They would not rest until the Orank threat was extinguished and the galaxy was safe once more. The Orank retreat was not a surrender, but a strategic withdrawal. They returned to their homeworld, a desolate volcanic planet shrouded in a thick atmosphere of sulfur and ash. Their scientists and engineers worked tirelessly, analyzing the data from their defeat, searching for a way to counter humanity's projectile weapons. Meanwhile, on Earth, a sense of urgency gripped the military and scientific communities. The victory against the Oranks had bought them time, but they knew it was only temporary. They had to find a way to exploit the Orank weakness further and develop new weapons and tactics to ensure their survival in the next confrontation. Captain Nelson, hailed as a hero, was promoted to admiral and put in charge of the newly formed Orank Defense Initiative. He assembled a team of the brightest minds from across the globe, scientists, engineers, tacticians, and veterans of the Orank War. Their efforts bore fruit quickly. The scientists discovered that the Orank armor, while impenetrable to energy weapons, was vulnerable to specific frequencies emitted by the projectile impacts. They developed new types of ammunition infused with these frequencies that could bypass the armor's defenses and inflict maximum damage. The engineers, working in collaboration with the military, developed new weapons platforms, designed specifically to deliver these specialized projectiles. Railguns were upgraded, their power and accuracy enhanced. Missile launchers were modified to accommodate larger payloads, increasing their destructive potential. The tacticians, meanwhile, studied the Orank battle patterns, analyzing their strengths and weaknesses. They devised new strategies, focusing on hit-and-run tactics and exploiting the Orank's reliance on their superior firepower. The human fleet underwent a massive overhaul. Ships were retrofitted with the latest weaponry and defensive systems. Training exercises were conducted, simulating Orank attacks and testing the new strategies. Humanity was preparing for war, a war they knew would be long and brutal. The Oranks on their homeworld were not idle. Their scientists had developed a new type of energy shield that could deflect projectile impacts. Their engineers had reinforced their armor, adding layers of composite materials designed to absorb kinetic energy. Their warriors were training in new combat techniques, focusing on close-quarters combat where their strength and agility could be used to their advantage. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for the inevitable clash. The stage was set for a war that would determine the fate of humanity and the galaxy itself. The Orank Armada emerged from hyperspace near the edge of human-controlled space, their ships bristling with new weaponry and their warriors clad in reinforced armor. The first engagement took place near a mining colony on the outskirts of the Vega system. The humans, forewarned by their scouts, were ready. As the Orank ships approached, a swarm of drones launched from the human fleet, their sleek forms darting through the void. These were not combat drones, but decoys designed to distract the Orank sensors and draw their fire. The Oranks, eager to prove the effectiveness of their new shields, unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, only to see them dissipate harmlessly against the decoy drones. The real attack came from the flanks, as human ships emerged from behind asteroids and gas clouds, their railguns blazing. The massive projectiles slammed into the Orank ships, their shields flickering under the onslaught. The Oranks responded with their own weapons, but the human ships, their hulls reinforced with new alloys, withstood the assault. Then came the missiles, their warheads infused with the frequency-modulated explosives. They pierced through the Orank shields, their explosions tearing through the enemy's ships. The Oranks fought back fiercely, their warriors boarding human vessels, their blades clashing against human steel. But the humans, trained in close-quarters combat, held their ground. The battle raged for hours, the void lit up by the flashes of energy weapons and the explosions of missiles. The human fleet, though outnumbered, fought with a ferocity born of desperation and a thirst for revenge. They had lost too many comrades in the previous war, and they were determined to make the Oranks pay. Admiral Nelson, aboard the newly commissioned flagship, the U.S. Intrepid, watched the battle unfold on the holographic display. The human ships were taking losses, but they were inflicting even greater damage on the Oranks. The enemy formation was disintegrating, their ships scattered, and their morale shattered. Nelson gave the order for the final assault. The Intrepid, along with the other capital ships, unleashed a devastating volley of missiles and railgun fire, targeting the Orank flagship. The enemy command ship, its shields already weakened, succumbed to the onslaught, its hull breached and its reactors exploding in a blinding flash. With the loss of their flagship, the Orank resistance crumbled. Their ships, leaderless and demoralized, retreated in disarray, leaving behind a trail of wreckage and debris. The Vega system victory was a turning point in the war. The myth of Orank invincibility was shattered, and a wave of optimism swept through human-controlled space. Other races who had once hesitated to join the fight now rallied to humanity's cause. The Galactic Council, emboldened by the human success, authorized a full-scale offensive against the Orank homeworld. Admiral Nelson knew that the Orank homeworld would be a fortress, defended by the full might of their remaining forces. But he also knew that the Oranks were wounded, their confidence shaken. This was their chance to strike a decisive blow, to end the Orank threat once and for all. The human fleet, bolstered by reinforcements from allied races, set course for the Orank homeworld. The journey was long and fraught with danger, as Orank patrols and raiding parties attempted to harass and delay the advancing fleet. But the humans, their ships equipped with advanced cloaking devices and decoy systems, managed to evade most of the attacks and arrive at the Orank system with minimal casualties. The Orank homeworld loomed large on the view screen, its volcanic peaks spewing ash and smoke into the atmosphere. A network of orbital defense platforms ringed the planet, their energy cannons trained on the approaching fleet. The battle for the Orank homeworld was a brutal affair, a clash of titans that shook the very foundations of the system. The human ships, utilizing their superior tactics and projectile weapons, managed to disable the orbital defenses and establish a beachhead on the planet's surface. The Orank warriors, fighting on their own territory, were a formidable foe. They launched wave after wave of attacks, their reinforced armor and new energy shields proving to be a challenge for the human troops. But the humans, armed with their frequency-modulated explosives and advanced combat exosuits, were able to hold their ground and slowly push forward. The fighting was fierce and unrelenting, every inch of ground contested. The volcanic landscape, with its lava flows and toxic fumes, added to the danger and difficulty of the campaign. But the humans, driven by their determination and the memory of their fallen comrades, pressed on. Admiral Nelson, leading the ground forces, knew that the key to victory lay in capturing the Orank Command Center, a massive underground complex where their leaders were coordinating the defense. He assembled a strike team of his most skilled and experienced soldiers, equipped with specialized weapons and explosives designed to penetrate the complex's defenses. The strike team, under the cover of a diversionary attack, infiltrated the command center. They fought their way through the Orank guards, their blades flashing and their guns blazing. They reached the central control room where the Orank leaders were gathered, their faces pale with fear. In the heart of the Orank command center, a tense standoff ensued. Admiral Nelson and his strike team faced the Orank High Council, a group of aged and wrinkled aliens, their eyes filled with a mixture of defiance and despair. The air crackled with tension, the silence broken only by the hum of the complex's machinery and the heavy breathing of the soldiers. Nelson, his voice echoing in the cavernous chamber, addressed the council. "Your reign of terror ends here," he declared. "Your aggression has cost countless lives, and now you will face justice." The Orank leader, a towering figure with a crest of bony spikes on his head, let out a guttural growl. "You humans are a pestilence," he spat. "You have no right to interfere in our affairs." Nelson raised an eyebrow. "Your affairs? You invaded our galaxy, slaughtered our people, and enslaved entire worlds. You have no right to speak of justice." The Orank leader snarled, his hand twitching towards a concealed weapon. "We will never surrender," he hissed. "We will fight to the last breath." Nelson nodded grimly. "Then so be it." The battle that ensued was swift and brutal. The Orank guards, outnumbered and outmatched, were quickly overwhelmed. The council members, realizing the futility of their resistance, activated a self-destruct sequence, hoping to take the humans with them. Nelson and his team fought their way back to the surface, the command center collapsing behind them. They barely made it to the evacuation point before the complex exploded, sending shock waves through the planet. The destruction of the command center was a devastating blow to the Orank war effort. Their forces, leaderless and demoralized, began to surrender en masse. The human troops, with the support of their allies, mopped up the remaining resistance, securing the planet. The Orank homeworld, once a symbol of their power and arrogance, now lay in ruins, a testament to the folly of their aggression. The humans, though victorious, did not celebrate. The cost of victory had been too high, the scars of war too deep. Admiral Nelson, standing amidst the wreckage of the Orank civilization, felt a pang of sadness. The Oranks, for all their faults, had been a proud and powerful race. Their downfall was a tragedy, a reminder of the destructive nature of war. But Nelson also knew that the galaxy was a safer place without the Orank threat. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged stronger and more united than ever. They had proven that they were not just survivors, but protectors, guardians of peace and freedom in the galaxy. In the aftermath of the Orank War, humanity found itself at a crossroads. The victory had been hard-fought and costly, but it had also yielded a treasure trove of Orank technology. The question now was, what to do with it? Some argued for dismantling and destroying the alien technology, fearing its corrupting influence and potential for misuse. Others saw it as an opportunity to leapfrog centuries of technological development to bolster humanity's defenses and secure their place in the galaxy. Admiral Nelson, now a revered figure across the galaxy, advocated for a cautious approach. He understood the potential benefits of the Orank technology, but he also recognized the dangers. He proposed a comprehensive study of the alien artifacts, a careful analysis of their potential applications and risks. A team of scientists and engineers, the best and brightest from Earth and beyond, was assembled. They spent years dissecting Orank ships, studying their weapons, shields, propulsion systems, and communication devices. They deciphered alien codes, analyzed their materials, and experimented with their energy sources. The results were astounding. The Orank technology was far more advanced than anything humanity had ever encountered. Their energy shields were nearly impenetrable, their weapons devastatingly powerful, and their propulsion systems capable of bending space-time. But the Orank technology also held darker secrets. Their weapons were designed to inflict maximum casualties, their shields to withstand the most brutal assaults. Their communication devices were encrypted with complex algorithms hinting at a vast network of surveillance and control. The scientists, guided by Admiral Nelson's wisdom, proceeded with caution. They adapted the Orank energy shield technology, developing new defensive systems for human ships and installations. They reverse-engineered the Orank weapons, creating new types of projectiles and energy beams that could pierce even the toughest armor. But they also took steps to safeguard against the potential dangers of the alien technology. They developed fail-safe mechanisms to prevent misuse, and they established strict protocols for its use. They also shared their findings with other races, fostering cooperation and understanding in the face of potential threats. Humanity emerged from the Orank War not just as victors, but as a force to be reckoned with. They had embraced the alien technology, but they had done so on their terms, with wisdom and caution. They had become guardians of the galaxy, protectors of peace and freedom. The Orank War had been a crucible, forging humanity into a stronger and more resilient species. It had taught them the value of unity, the importance of knowledge, and the dangers of unchecked power. It had shown them that even the smallest of Davids could slay the mightiest of Goliaths, and that even in the darkest of times, hope could prevail. The galaxy, once scarred and divided by the Orank War, embarked on a path of healing and renewal. Trade routes that had been severed by conflict were re-established, diplomatic envoys once again traversed the stars, and a cautious optimism began to blossom in the hearts of beings across the vast expanse of space. Humanity, once regarded with suspicion and even contempt by some of the older, more established races, found itself elevated to a position of respect and admiration. The courage and ingenuity displayed in the face of overwhelming odds had earned them a newfound status as a beacon of hope, a testament to the indomitable spirit that resided within the human heart. Admiral Nelson, his name now synonymous with heroism and leadership, became a revered figure throughout the galaxy. His exploits were recounted in tales and songs, his wisdom sought by leaders of all races. Yet, despite the accolades and honors bestowed upon him, Nelson remained humble and focused on a greater purpose. He retired from active military service, choosing to dedicate the remainder of his life to fostering peace and understanding among the diverse inhabitants of the galaxy. The Nelson Institute for Galactic Peace, founded under his guidance, became a hub of research, dialogue, and cultural exchange. Here, scholars and diplomats from all corners of the cosmos gathered to share knowledge, resolve disputes, and build bridges between civilizations. The Orank homeworld, once a desolate wasteland ravaged by war, gradually began to show signs of recovery. The volcanic activity that had once choked the atmosphere subsided, revealing a landscape of stark beauty and hidden potential. The first tentative shoots of vegetation emerged from the ash-covered soil, and the skies, once filled with smoke and fire, now shimmered with the vibrant colors of a reborn world. A small human outpost was established on the planet, not as a symbol of conquest or domination, but as a gesture of goodwill and a commitment to rebuilding. Scientists and engineers working alongside Orank survivors embarked on a collaborative effort to study the planet's unique ecosystem and learn from the mistakes of the past. Together, they developed sustainable technologies, harnessing the planet's geothermal energy and purifying its water sources, transforming the once hostile environment into a thriving habitat. The Orank technology, meticulously studied and carefully integrated into human society, ignited a wave of innovation and progress that swept across the galaxy. New forms of energy were harnessed, new materials synthesized, and new frontiers of science and exploration opened up. Medical advancements extended lifespans and cured diseases that had once been thought incurable. Transportation technologies made interstellar travel faster and more accessible, connecting the farthest reaches of the galaxy. The galaxy, once divided by conflict and mistrust, began to unite under a shared vision of peace and prosperity. Trade flourished, cultural exchange enriched societies, and diplomatic alliances strengthened the bonds between different races. The human spirit, with its boundless curiosity and relentless pursuit of knowledge, had ignited a spark of hope that spread like wildfire across the stars. Yet, amidst the celebrations and the newfound optimism, a sense of caution prevailed. The memory of the Orank War, with its devastating consequences, served as a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the ever-present potential for conflict. Humanity, now armed with the knowledge and technology gleaned from their fallen foes, assumed a new role as guardian of the galaxy. Their fleets, equipped with the latest advancements in shielding and weaponry, patrolled the stars, ensuring the safety of trade routes and protecting vulnerable worlds from potential threats. Their scientists, ever vigilant, monitored for any sign of aggression or instability, ready to raise the alarm and mobilize the galaxy's defenses. The Orank War had been a trial by fire, a test of humanity's resilience and adaptability. It had revealed both the darkness and the light that resided within the human heart, the capacity for both destruction and creation. But in the end, it was the light that triumphed, the spirit of hope and cooperation that prevailed. And so humanity stood as a beacon of hope, a symbol of what was possible when different races put aside their differences and worked together for a common good. They had embraced their destiny, not as conquerors or rulers, but as protectors and peacemakers. They had learned that true strength lay not in weapons or technology, but in the courage to stand up for what was right, the wisdom to learn from the past, and the unwavering hope to build a better future for all. The Orank legacy, despite its dark origins, proved to be a catalyst for a renaissance of innovation and cooperation among the galactic community. Humanity led the charge, not with the arrogance of conquerors, but with the wisdom of scholars and the humility of survivors. The Nelson Institute became the epicenter of this new era. Under Admiral Nelson's guidance, it expanded its reach, establishing branches on countless worlds and welcoming delegates from every corner of the galaxy. Human scientists, working alongside their alien counterparts, delved into the complexities of Orank technology, unraveling its secrets and harnessing its potential for good. One of the most significant breakthroughs came in the field of energy. The Oranks, it turned out, had developed a method of extracting energy from subspace, a vast and untapped reservoir that permeated the universe. This discovery revolutionized interstellar travel, making it faster, safer, and more efficient. The days of long and arduous journeys between star systems were over. The Orank weaponry, once a tool of destruction, was repurposed for defense. The energy shields that had once protected Orank warships now safeguarded human colonies, deflecting asteroid impacts and repelling hostile incursions. The devastating energy cannons were modified to serve as planetary defense systems, capable of vaporizing incoming threats with pinpoint accuracy. But perhaps the most profound impact of the Orank technology was on the human psyche. The war had forced humanity to confront its own mortality, its place in the vast cosmic tapestry. The encounter with an alien civilization so different from their own had broadened their horizons, challenged their assumptions, and ignited a thirst for knowledge that transcended species and cultures. Humans became more open-minded, more curious, and more willing to embrace the unknown. They ventured into uncharted territories, exploring new worlds and encountering alien life forms with a sense of wonder and respect. They formed alliances with other races, sharing their knowledge and resources in a spirit of cooperation and mutual benefit. The galaxy, once a battleground for warring factions, gradually transformed into a vibrant tapestry of interconnected civilizations. Trade routes flourished, cultural exchange enriched societies, and scientific collaboration pushed the boundaries of what was possible. Humanity, once a fledgling species struggling to find its place in the cosmos, had emerged as a leader, a beacon of hope in a galaxy yearning for peace and progress. Their journey had been long and arduous, filled with triumphs and tragedies. But through it all, they had persevered, guided by their indomitable spirit and unwavering belief in a better future. The Orank War, though a dark chapter in galactic history, had ultimately served as a catalyst for change, a crucible that forged a new era of enlightenment and cooperation. The human race, tempered by adversity and enriched by knowledge, stood poised on the threshold of a new age, ready to embrace the challenges and opportunities that awaited them among the stars.